The second festival orchestra concert will take place on Friday, July 13th in our big, beautiful white tent. And it's going to be a great concert. The orchestra is going to be a little bit reduced because the pieces that we are going to be performing are pieces that really sparkle and are full of energy and life. And are just a little bit more, a little bit smaller, but nonetheless, just a tremendous amount of energy. We're very fortunate to have Wu Man play the pipa with us, with the orchestra. The pipa is a Chinese guitar or lute. It's got many strings on it, and it has a wonderful, wonderful sound. And Wu Man plays this with tremendous energy. She is one of the world's foremost pipa players. She's inspired a wealth of new music by Chinese composers, and we're going to do one of those pieces on Friday night when this concert occurs. Wu Man has collaborated with many, many groups, among them the Kronos Quartet, and she's also traveled with Yo-Yo Ma and the Silk Road Ensemble. So she's got quite a handful of credentials, and not to mention the credentials that she's just a great player. She's got enough fame, enough renown that she has been profiled by Jim Lehrer. In order to get an idea of how Wu Man plays, we're going to listen to a piece that she will be performing called White Snow in a Sunny Spring. Also on the concert on Friday night is a piece by Alberto Ginastera called Variaciones Concertan, which is a great piece. Ginastera is an Argentine composer and is written in many styles, some of them serial and some of them very, very tonal. And this piece is tonal and uses sort of the folk music, or at least the folk music sensibility in the piece. It starts off with a presentation of the theme by the cello and by the harp that is very sultry. You sort of feel like it's a warm summer night. And it is one of the most gorgeous themes I think I've ever heard. And then there's a bunch of variations after that. And the idea of this piece is to highlight each one of the players in the orchestra. So you get a clarinet solo, you get a violin solo, trumpet, trombone. And it ends in a glorious uproar of incredible Argentine dance rhythms. It's a very exciting piece. And then the last piece we're going to play in that concert is Mozart's Jupiter Symphony. And the Jupiter Symphony is the last symphony that Mozart wrote. And it's really, in many ways, the culmination of his concert style. And I say concert style because he wrote tons of operas, and his operas were just magnificent. But Mozart also paved the way for Beethoven, really, and had developed the symphonic form to a very high degree. And the Jupiter Symphony really, I think, was the last of three great symphonies that he wrote at the end of his life that I think shows how well-developed a symphony can be. And, of course, as Mozart always writes, with a great sense of humor and a great deal of energy. There's 4 movements to this symphony, and the last movement has, there's a lot of counterpoint, which means there's a lot of melodies going on against each other with rhythm that, you know, could be in bluegrass music, because the instruments, the violins, the strings are all just moving like never before, and you almost feel like you could dance to this. It's just a great piece, and I think it's just going to be a great evening. We would like to play just a little excerpt for you of the Pipa Concerto, Tan Dun's Pipa Concerto, that will be presented that evening. Tan Dun wrote the music for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, if you've seen that movie, and The Last Emperor, which is an opera. He's a great, great composer. He's, this is actually a reworking of one of his most popular pieces, which he wrote for Kronos String Quartet. It's a ghost opera. This also has Chinese it has Chinese folk song music in it, a Copland-esque big sky music, and there are actually quotations from Bach as well. The orchestra actually gets to grunt, to vocalize in this wonderful 20-minute piece. It's very, very unusual, and it looks like it's going to be fun to conduct. So we're going to just play a little segment of this from the first movement of Tan Dun's Pippa Concerto. So don't miss our concert on Friday, July 13th in the festival tent.